the desert roared with thunder in November 1941, not from the skies, but from the charging tanks of the British 8th Army. Sand flew, engines growled, and anti-tank shells ripped across the Libyan plains as Operation Crusader exploded into motion. British and Commonwealth forces, battered but determined, surged forward to break the siege of Tobruk, where thousands of their comrades had held out for months under Axis encirclement. The open battlefield of North Africa would soon become a chessboard of cunning maneuvers, desperate counterattacks, and pivotal decisions that would alter the course of World War II's Desert War. Welcome to History in a Hurry. I'm Eli Stone, and in this episode, we will learn about Operation Crusader during World War II. Operation Crusader, launched on November 18, 1941, was a British-led offensive during World War II's North African campaign, aimed at lifting the siege of Tobruk and driving Axis forces under General Erwin Rommel back across Libya. The operation marked the first large-scale offensive by the newly restructured British 8th Army under Lieutenant General Alan Cunningham. Facing them was Rommel's formidable Afrika Corps and Italian units. Entrenched and confident after months of tactical success, the strategic situation was critical. Tobruk, a vital Libyan port city on the Mediterranean coast, had been under Axis siege since April 1941. Though the Australian and later British garrison inside had repelled repeated attacks, relief efforts had failed. Churchill demanded action, eager for a victory to boost morale and secure supply routes through the Suez Canal. With the arrival of reinforcements and new equipment, including the American-made M3 Stuart Honey tanks, Cunningham and his 8th Army prepared for a bold counterstroke. Crusader's plan was ambitious. The operation relied on a multi-pronged approach. Armored units led by the 7th Armored Division, the Desert Rats, would strike through the open desert to engage and draw off Rommel's panzers. Meanwhile, infantry divisions would assault Axis frontier positions, and the Tobruk garrison would break out and link with advancing forces. Timing and coordination were crucial, but so was deception. Allied commanders hoped Rommel would underestimate the scale of the offensive. In the opening days, confusion reigned. The flat desert terrain, while open, proved deceptive and unforgiving. British armor clashed with Axis panzer divisions in scattered, fierce engagements around Sidi Rezegh and Gambut. While the 7th Armored initially gained ground, Rommel quickly counterattacked, using his famed Rommel's rules of fast maneuver and concentrated firepower. The British suffered heavy losses, and Cunningham began to doubt the operation's feasibility. Rommel, however, also faced setbacks. His supply lines stretched, and coordination with Italian units often faltered. His decision to launch a counteroffensive toward the Egyptian border to outflank the British, while aggressive, exposed his own forces to encirclement. Meanwhile, inside Tobruk, the garrison launched a determined breakout, adding new pressure to Axis lines. At this critical juncture, General Claude Auchinleck, Commander-in-Chief Middle East, replaced Cunningham with Major General Neil Ritchie, injecting fresh leadership into the campaign. The tide slowly turned. British and Commonwealth forces, including South African and New Zealand divisions, persisted despite severe losses and harsh desert conditions. They fought doggedly at key positions like El Duda and Ed Duda, holding ground and denying Axis breakthroughs. Crucially, the British began to wear down the Afrika Corps, both materially and psychologically. Rommel's forces, short on fuel and reinforcements, could no longer maintain the offensive. By early December, the British had broken through to Tobruk, ending the 241-day siege. Rommel, recognizing the deteriorating situation, ordered a retreat westward to El Agheila, abandoning Cyrenaica. Though the withdrawal was orderly and conducted with skill, it was nevertheless a strategic defeat. For the first time, British forces had decisively pushed back Rommel and liberated occupied territory. Operation Crusader had mixed tactical results but major strategic significance. British losses were high, over 17,000 casualties and significant armor destroyed. But Axis losses were comparable, and more importantly, the momentum had shifted. Tobruk's relief boosted Allied morale and undermined Rommel's reputation of invincibility. It also marked the first time the Eighth Army successfully executed a complex offensive against German forces, proving that the British could stand toe-to-toe with the Afrika Korps. The aftermath of Crusader set the stage for future desert battles, although Rommel would counterattack again in early 1942, and the war in North Africa would continue until 1943. The operation laid critical groundwork. It exposed flaws in Axis logistics and command structure, validated the growing competence of Allied combined arms warfare, and paved the way for the eventual Allied domination of the Mediterranean theater. In the sands of Libya, Operation Crusader wrote a chapter of endurance, sacrifice, and strategic learning. Amid the howling winds and burning sun, soldiers on both sides fought not just for territory, but for the initiative in a global conflict. And for those who had endured the siege of Tobruk, the thunder of British tanks rolling in was more than just noise. It was liberation. Thanks for racing through history with us on History in a Hurry. If you enjoyed today's quick dive into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a fast-paced trip through time. Please reply in the comments with ideas for our next history lesson. See you in the next one.